I talked to Dre when I had him in here. We talked all about his doc, and I asked him, what do you want people to get from your documentary? What is your goal for your documentary? He said, man, I just want people to understand me. He said, you may not agree with everything that I did. He said, but what I want from my doc, I want you to understand everything that I did. You may not agree with it, but but I want you to understand it. And so I asked him that question, knowing what the purpose of my doc is, but never truly asking myself. I just knew what the purpose of my doc was. I never asked myself, what do I want people to get from my doc? I just knew what I wanted people to get from my documentary because God has told me and shown me what my purpose is here, what my purpose is for. I want people to be inspired when they see my documentary. I want people to be motivated when they see my documentary. In my documentary, you'll see redemption. You'll see moments where I was going to quit and just did not quit. And the reason why I'm bringing up my documentary is because the creative part of the doc, in my mind, we haven't solidified this yet, but when my doc starts, it's going to start in black. And it's going to say, I was never supposed to be a champion, ... I had my draw against Julio Diaz. I had a lot going on before that fight. So much going on before that fight that I didn't even want to fight. I had so much going on before the fight that walking out to the ring at like 15-0 or something like that, I thought I was walking out to the ring for my last time. I was done. And I didn't know that much about Julio Diaz. We get in the ring in the first couple rounds. I'm fast. I'm Showtime. It is what it is. I'm just going to get this out of the way so I can go on with my life. Julio put up resistance. And once the resistance came, I started to fold to the resistance. I folded to the resistance of Julio Diaz for about 5 rounds straight, 6 rounds straight. And I looked up before the last round. It was a 10-round fight. And right before the last round, like this epiphany happening. And I was like, I'm Showtime. I'm not about to lose this. I go out there and fight as hard as I can fight, thinking that I didn't care about the fight at all, and fought as hard as I could fight and fought to a draw. I went home, back to Cleveland. That fight was in LA. I went home back to Cleveland, ready to be done with the sport. Didn't care about it at all. And this is coming from somebody that never loved boxing. You'll see that in the documentary when I explain why I never loved boxing. You don't have to love this to do it. And like the Bible says, many are called, but few are chosen. If you make it as far as Jared has made it, that means you're chosen. But what you have to do now is you have to search within yourself and find, am I able to do what I'm chosen to do? When it comes to the sport of boxing, and many are called, but few are chosen, it ain't but a couple people that make it to the top. And it ain't but 2 or 3 of them that's actually able to stay there. You know what I mean? So it's this, there's so much that goes into being a professional athlete in general. You know, especially it takes so much more to be a professional boxer because the demand is so much more. The demand for a running back is not the same as the demand for a boxer. Demand for a point guard or a center, the demand to be an all-star in a team sport is different from the demand to be an all-star in the sport of boxing. So I'm saying all that to say this. From somebody that didn't love this, it can be done. Mm-hmm. From somebody who faced hardship and didn't know whether or not I wanted to still do this, it can be done. It starts here. He has to really, like you have both said, figure it out. Do I really want to do this? And I think it starts with the need. Do I need to do this? That was what it was for me. Mm-hmm. I needed to do it because I needed to get where I am now. And I just knew that even though I don't love this, even though I'm going through everything I'm going through and I hate it, I need to do this just to get where I am now. It's hindsight's 50-50, but I can
2020.
I'm sorry, hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's 2020, but I can truly testify to the fact that for someone who was gonna give this up, I knew that I needed to do this, and I can testify that I knew I'd be where I am now if I continued, and it shows itself to be true.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, just for context for the fans to know that how, we're keeping it real with our assessment.
Yeah.
It is, it all does start mentally for Jared, but there are physical, technical things that got to be shored up, especially defensively. But you can't shore those things up physically and technically without wanting to.
You got to dial in here, accept everything that's coming to you, right? So let's get into like the X's and O's, and we'll let it go. But the one thing that was apparent to me, or is apparent to me, I tell people this all the time. Boxing calls for you to ignore the number one rule that we are born with. It's self-preservation. When your ankle hurts on the football field, you come out for a couple series, you might not go back in at all.
Yeah.
With this, when your ankle hurt, you literally have to block it out in your mind. My ankle hurts. This kid is too aware, too conscious.
His mom's a psychologist.
He's too conscious of this sport. And mama helped the kid.
Got a major in psychology.
Yeah, I don't gotta help the kid. He's too conscious. You go back to the corner after the first round, you say, man, this dude tough, man. He here for 10 rounds. I don't want to be here for 10 rounds.
You said that?
The first round. After the first round, he here for 10 rounds. I don't want to go 10. And the only reason why I'm pointing that out is because to me, those are conscious things that you cannot be aware of as a fight is going on. And I told y'all this before, I never wanted to know what round it was. Because if I see that thing come around, and I look at how I feel in the 8th round, and I do the math on how many more rounds I got, I never wanted to know what round it was. I remember my dad, hey, what round is this? What round is this? And I would try to, I try to not hear it. You know what I mean? So he's too conscious. You gotta tighten up mentally. If he tightens up mentally, if this is what he wants to do, he'll get there. He can still take a punch. Those are punches you don't want to continue to take at heavyweight.
No.
Cannot afford to take don't matter that punch didn't put you down. Doesn't matter those punches didn't put you down. That punch,
they accumulate.
In 10 years, 20 years, it's gonna show up. So he can't afford to take those punches. Got to continue to tighten him up. I think
defensively wise.
I think what you said, if he tightens up here, everything else is going to get sharper. And I still believe in the kid.
Yeah,
they ready to tighten. And I love Richard Torres.
Yeah,
but they like, all right, Richard Torres is next from America now.
Yeah, they already pushed him to the side.
Well,
I'm like Jared's still the guy.
Well, Richard may not have all of Jared's versatility and maybe to a degree talent overall, but. Ant was talking about this and this. We know he's got those in spades.
And he got Guido
Vianello.
Yeah, I love that fight for him. Next.
Why they gotta give him Guido? Why can't we let Guido?
That's a big one coming
something? Up. No, I'm just kidding. Richard wins that fight.
Yeah, Anderson, keep going, bro. Just lock in, bro.
Lock in.